There are whispers in the paddock, not about contracts, not about tires, something bigger, a leak, a new kind of Formula One car, one that could hit 400 kilometers per hour, one that could change everything. It's not on track yet, but in the shadows of simulators, in the glowing blue light of renderings and CAD models, the 2026 F1 car is alive. So what's the secret? The first thing you notice in the leaked FIA images, the cars look smaller, shorter, narrower, tighter. The front wings are more curved with fewer parts. The rear wings are thinner, but with more complexity. There's no more beam wing. And those huge tunnels under the floor, the Venturi channels, are gone. Instead, a long tongue stretches forward on both sides beneath the car, holding wild new winglets. It looks like something from F1's past, but from a future that's not quite ready to be understood. Mercedes' tech chief James Allison explains it like this. They are cars with a flat floor and a step in the middle. You can't seal the sides of the car like you can with current cars. That makes it harder to maintain the low pressure zone underneath. The Venturi effect is smaller. But these 2026 cars aren't just like the ones before 2022. They're somewhere between then and now. That means less downforce, narrower tires, less grip, but more flexibility, more ways to find performance, more ways for the brave to stand out. And then comes the power. Oh, the power. F1's electric systems are getting a massive upgrade. The battery will deliver nearly 475 horsepower. The hybrid V6 engine, about 575 horsepower. Combined, this gives us a monster, over 1,020 horsepower of total system output, more torque than any F1 car in history. And with active aerodynamics, where drivers can flatten both wings on the straights, the speed numbers get insane. Mercedes boss Toto Wolff says, "When we unleash full power, we're scratching at the 400 km/h limit." And Aston Martin reserve driver Felipe Drugovich. After testing it in the simulator, he said, "Out of the corners, it pushes like crazy. You feel like you're sitting on a rocket." Here's the twist. These cars hit top speed halfway down the straight. Then they switch to energy recovery mode. The engine stops pushing, and the drivers simply coast until braking. You thought the straights were wild. Wait for the curves. That's where things get tricky, and not everyone's happy. Ferrari's Charles Leclerc, after trying the new car in the sim, said, "This is not fun. I can't imagine how we're supposed to race with this." Max Verstappen was more cautious. "It feels strange, but we're still in an early stage of development." Wolff didn't hold back. How can you criticize something that hasn't even been fully born yet? F1 CEO Stefano Domenicali added a warning. "It will feel different for the drivers compared to what they know, but that doesn't mean it's automatically worse. We'll all get used to it quickly." And it's not just the shape or the power, it's how the car drives. Allison pushes back on the criticism. The driving experience will be more pleasant than the current cars. There will be fewer balance shifts between slow and fast corners, and between turning and accelerating. It will be easier to control, understeer and oversteer exactly where you want it. The tires? New 2026 Pirellis. Drivers say they feel them more clearly because downforce is no longer overpowering the mechanical grip. So, are these the hardest F1 cars ever to drive? Maybe not, but they might be the most involved. Williams boss James Vowles had this to say, "Don't listen to drivers who tried the new car once. Listen to the ones who've done 5 simulator sessions." And Drugovich, with more sim time than most, added, "In the corners, it's actually really fun, because you always have power thanks to the electric boost. But on the second half of the straight, when the power drops, that takes some getting used to." And this is where things get wild. Energy management won't be automatic anymore. It'll be in the driver's hands. Williams driver Alex Albon explained, "In 2026, you'll have way more say in how you use power and how you recharge the battery. Whoever understands the system best and makes the smartest decisions will have the edge. That's exactly what the FIA wants, the driver to matter more again. The question is, can teams and drivers keep up? Because while the FIA builds the new rules, it's also changing them constantly. Every month, every detail. From brake ducts to diffuser changes, they're closing every loophole that might ruin the racing. Teams like Williams, who started testing early, are getting hit hard. If you jumped into 2026 development early like we did, said Vowles, you're being pushed back more than the teams who switched later. And that's just the aerodynamics. Energy rules are evolving too. On every track, there will be limits on how much power can be used and how much can be recovered. Depending on the track, those rates will change. On street circuits, they don't want drivers blasting through places like Monaco Tunnel at 350 km per hour. Audi's Mattia Binotto put it bluntly. Otherwise, we'll be doing 350 through the tunnel in Monte Carlo. So here we are. Smaller cars, weaker grip, stronger power, more driver influence, and active wings designed for one thing: insane straight-line speed. But as these digital ghosts inch toward reality, the burning question remains: what happens when it's time to overtake? Say goodbye to DRS, that little flap on the rear wing? Gone. Instead, the FIA is introducing something new, something bold, something called manual override mode. It's like a power-up in a video game. Think of it like push to pass in IndyCar. Each driver gets a special boost button. But this isn't just speed for speed's sake. It's been carefully crafted in the simulators to make racing tougher, but still possible. FIA's single-seater director, Nicolas Tombazis, explained it like this: "We're working to make sure the extra boost keeps overtaking challenging, but doable. Not so easy that you just fly past someone on the straight, and not so hard that you can't even get close." And here's where it gets spicy. The amount of boost you get? It's not the same at every track. In places like Monza, where straight-line speed is everything, the boost might be smaller. In twisty tracks like Hungary, maybe more. The FIA is fine-tuning all of this right now, using driver feedback and simulation data. But as with everything in F1, not everyone agrees. While the FIA says fans shouldn't worry about lap times, people are definitely talking about lap times. How much slower will the 2026 cars be compared to now? Tombazis admits, "In our simulations, the new cars will be between 1 and 2.5 seconds slower at the start of the regulations. But that will improve." He continues, "I get surprised by how much focus there is on lap times. F1 has had faster and slower phases in the past. Once you get used to it, it's fine." Basically, yes. On paper, the cars will be slower at first. But in reality, the racing could still be thrilling. The FIA believes that if the cars race closer and overtaking is better, fans won't even notice. Tombazis said, "I don't think lap times will be a factor once people get used to these cars. If we made them as slow as Formula 2, sure, there would be a problem, but that's definitely not the case." And he might be right. In the end, it's not about one number on a stopwatch. It's about the drama, the tension, the wheel-to-wheel action. But the tension isn't just between cars, it's growing between the FIA and the teams too. Why? Because every time the FIA tweaks a rule, it throws months of development work into the bin, and teams aren't happy. Williams boss James Vowles, already frustrated by the aero changes, knows every tweak could cost millions and precious time. For example, moving the fin cascade from the brake ducts to the diffuser force teams to lower the rear of the car just to keep their floor sealed correctly. That's a massive change. And then there's energy management. It's not just about how much power you use, it's about when, how fast, and where. If you're discharging at 120 kilowatts, it drops in one go. But at 350 kilowatts, it needs to happen in steps, or the car loses power too suddenly. On city circuits, This becomes even more important because full power down narrow streets could be dangerous. That's why Audi F1 boss Mattia Binotto warned, "Otherwise, we'll be doing 350 through the tunnel in Monte Carlo." So the FIA is walking a tightrope. They want better racing, more energy management, safer speeds, more driver influence, less dirty air, more green tech. But at the same time, they're fighting off a wave of resistance from drivers and engineers. Drivers say the cars feel weird. Engineers say the rules change too often. Fans just want great racing. And we haven't even seen a 2026 car in real life yet. Still, something about all of this feels different. Like we're standing at the edge of a new era, one where the driver becomes more important again, where power isn't just in the engine, it's in the driver's decisions. Tombazis summed it up perfectly. It's a comment you make when you first see the Delta, but once you've driven the car a bit, it doesn't matter. But will fans agree? Or will they miss the high downforce monsters that hug corners like glue? Will kids grow up hearing 2026 as the year F1 got too quiet, too slow, or the year it got real? Because these aren't just tweaks. This is the biggest Formula One shake-up since the hybrid era began. A smaller car, a bigger brain, fewer tricks, more torque, no DRS, all in the hands of the driver.